Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Quantum Health Connection podcast. My name is Heather Crimson, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Vanessa Baldwin. And today we have an extraordinary guest. Her name is Lauren Bradley of Bela Gusta, and she is quite a healer in the quantum sense, and she has this extraordinary beauty line called Bela Nektar. So today we talked about all kinds of amazing things about her biomagnetism healing, which is a quite profound way of healing through looking at energy of our symptoms, the energetics of our symptoms from a hereditary standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, cognitive, all these things of perception. I mean, it's just really rich and multifaceted. And so she's able to work in this holographic field of a realm of our toroidal field. So she's going to unpack all that for us. And I feel like it's really cutting edge, Vanessa, because we're
Mhm.
so programmed to look at symptom as a problem and then what's the thing to get rid of it, where she's just like in this whole other universe and she's able to get these really amazing results with her clients because she's looking at it from a lens that's just so more robust than just a simple, cause and effect kind of paradigm that we've all been inculcated with. So I think you guys are going to love this episode and you've got to check out her website. It's so beautiful. It's Bella, Bela Gusta, Gusta.com. What did you think, Vanessa?
Oh my goodness, I love Lauren. This was such a fun episode and really depth of knowledge when it comes to like learning the energies of the body. So if this is new to you or this seems like really woo to you or like, oh my goodness, I'm not there yet, maybe listen a couple of times, and hear it a couple of times because I really think working with the energy of the body is where true healing really is at because energy precedes matter, right? So we need to get to the energetic level. And I love how she really was like, it's this end, right? So she's looking at it from so many different angles, that, what the root cause is, because it's multi-layered always when you're dealing with chronic illness or chronic issues, right? It's multi-layered, but she's looking at that and she's going basically into your field, your holographic field, or whatever you want to call it. And you know, she's looking at that energy and she's finding out those root causes. It reminded me a little bit of what Tammy Russell did on the other podcast that we had recently. And she's finding those root causes and then she's reharmonizing that energy. And that not only affects you, but it affects your past, your present, your ancestral, lineage. Like it affects everything because that's all energy. And I love that. And it's almost like she's cocooning you in this holographic, field of energy as you leave her session to for that healing to continue to facilitate. And I thought that was another beautiful thing because it's like, oh, this is going to be helping you as the session ends to just continue the work. So it sounds like really amazing, beautiful work. And I'm so interested in it. And it's just, yeah, it's really great stuff. And I think, the energy work is really where it's at. And I'm really excited to put some of her skincare stuff on my Christmas list because that sounds really nourishing for the body. But I would say if you want good skin health, you have to work on your internal terrain, and that's the energy of your body too. Like that's the other thing, it's not about just like band-aiding things, which I don't think any of those things are, but it's also about, really healing from these healing comes from within outwards. That's how I view it. So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed this or enjoy this episode. And thanks for tuning in. Remember to rate and review, and that really helps the podcast grow. We really appreciate that.
I don't care.
Hey, Lauren, welcome to the Quantum Health Connection podcast. We're so excited to chat with you today. How you doing?
Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Heather. I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you doing?
Good,
Oh,
good,
thank you. Thank
good.
you. I've
Good.
been following you for a number of years now. I lost count, several at least, and it's just amazing to see how many different things you can do and offer, and who you are as a person is just so, to me, you're just so beautiful. Like everything you do is just
Oh,
beautiful. Your
oh,
your skincare line is amazing. I don't even think skincare line is an adequate way to describe what you offer there. Your biomagnetism work, which we're gonna unpack and tell our listeners what that is. And then you've even worked with Morley Robbins and gotten certified in his method. So we have a huge quantum lens here today, folks, to explore with Lauren. So we're excited to dig in.
Yeah. I would like to know a little bit about like your journey. Like, how did you get here? I mean, you don't have to give us everything.
yes,
How did you
yes. My
get here?
journey was my journey was the driver of my work that I am currently steeped in, because it was necessary. It was like I had to leave my world of fashion because I became the patient, and the graduation was you live versus you perish. So I started studying so many things out of necessity. I was a fashion designer. I was just like, building dresses and very into the architecture of creating sculpture with pieces of thread by gluing it together with other pieces of thread and math. And that was like my giant kind of, couple of decades foray into exploration until I became unwell. And when I became unwell, it was so um, dire, and also an equation that seemed unsolvable from the position. You know how they say you cannot heal with the same within the same environment, within the same what's the word, the same variables that made you unwell. So from the position of my unwellness, I had to unlearn everything and learn new things in an array, emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, all the areas, and create this 360-degree new version of myself, new sculpture of myself. And so it was a deep dive. It was like a study of yes, and I like to say healing is yes, and because it is. Everybody thinks, oh, it's minerals. Oh, it's, it's your light environment. Oh, it's this. It's the emotions. It's like, yes, it is yes, and so that being said, I got very sick. It's gory. There's gory details. My reproductive uh, plumbing decided to be on uh full gush. Sorry, it's and it was like a stab wound of epic
Wow.
proportions for almost a decade. So I suffered um
Wow.
an anemia that is that is maybe the only true anemia that Morley Robbins would maybe admit. And it took me a while to convince him of it. I was like, dude, I think this is real anemia. Like I think it is. I'm not sure, but I don't know. So anyway,
Yeah.
that just to sort of, I don't want to go into like super, super gory details, but I had to figure out complete energy bankruptcy and how to fill the energy account back up truthfully. I kind of is like a if I could wrap it up in like a, summary. And the energy bankruptcy involved blood loss, it involved pathogens, it involved emotional patterns that created it. It involved, a cutting off from my creative essence. Um, name an angle, and I can sort of tell you how it factored into the symptoms, the relentless symptoms that no doctor could solve. I was like this kind of case that was like, we don't know. So I had to become the CEO of the project that was Keep Lauren in the Body, as the body turned over this lack of energy into understanding this the systemic energy and use of energy within the body at all scales.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's an amazing story. And I totally can relate to the hitting rock bottom and having to, I love that the new sculpture. That was a great way to put it, like in sculpturing a new you. I love that. And I love your yes and, because it is, because clients always say, what's the one thing that helped you? Or what's the one thing that's going to help me? And I'm like, I wish it was one thing, but it's not, because it's
Yeah,
always yes and, because we have to when you're that out of balance as you were
yeah,
and I was, and I know Heather was too, you need to, it's multifactorial. always.
Yeah.
And I love that you brought that in. So, yeah, really good story. Yeah.
I think the one thing is faith, right? It's
Yeah,
like there is one thing, it's choosing you and that you're going to heal and that you have faith. Otherwise, you have nothing.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we like to look at things from such an intellectual, and we can understand these complex intellectual things like, oh, it is the electron transport chain. Oh, it is the just all sorts of scientifically advanced things. And at the end of it, yes, it is the energetics of the true you. It's like my vision of myself in the beginning when I was very sick versus my vision of myself now. I had 27 overcoats on in the begin, that old version of me had 27 overcoats of false dissonance. And the version of me now is a little bit more free, and my true self that was underneath all those 27 overcoats.
I
And
love it.
that pretty much is it's like dissonance versus harmony. And
mhm,
the harmony is that, that faith, that love, that truth, that harmony, that's the naked you. And then you've got all these dissonant concepts on top of you, you're just puffy and you can't move your arms. What's that movie with when he's got all of his snow gear on and he's like, I can't put my arms down. That's the unwell you, like you can't, you're fumbling with mittens, 10 pairs of them.
This is the frequency aspect too, is we're really trying to liberate the frequency of our soul, right? And
mhm,
who we truly are. And the overcoats are the distortions and whatnot
Yeah.
of who we are. So that's what you specialize in, and why we wanted to have you on the show is that you really work in such a vastly quantum way, like all the quantum lenses, like whichever way you want to look at, through minerals or right, the biomagnetism. So maybe if you talk a little bit, Lauren, about one of your modalities, because you have many, the biomagnetism, and just what is that, and help people to learn about how you use that modality to help people heal.
Yeah, so it took me about a year to understand how to give the elevator pitch of like, what is biomagnetism, right? It's quantum terrain restoration therapy, and I'm using magnetic torus fields to impact pH at scale, at like if you think about scale, like you're a person, but then we're on a planet, and then we're in a galaxy. That's us going out this way, but then you're a person, you're a system, you're an organ, you're a tissue, you're a cell, you're an atom or a molecule, you're an atom, you're a quark, and everything in between. So it's terrain restoration therapy by using magnetic torus fields to put into balance at all those levels of scale, or, maybe at one level of scale is causing all the other levels of scale to go out of balance, and vice versa, or, it's collective. So that being said, it's working to find and then transmute the dissonant frequency that is holding you back from being your more whole, free, not wearing the overcoats self, versus the self that has all of the overcoats on, because those are misperceptions, miscommunications,
Mhm.
and misunderstandings, all sorts of perceptions that create your holographic reality because you're the observer, and then everything else follows suit. So I'm looking at things from multiple different perspectives, patterns from your genetic genome, the DNA that's like kind of projecting the movie, the elements of your light and sound organizing, that being uh, created by your microbial cosmology, they're following suit in a scale, and then your emotional and energetic frequency emanations, and everything's tied into that. And that's what's creating your holographic reality. So I work with like, you know, if in a session with me, I'll say, okay, I have to set up a hologram. I'm setting up a hologram to impact and affect the hologram of you and your experience, and kind of retraining a different perspective, but from all those different scales of awareness. I hope, did I explain that?
Yeah, no, that was really great. And I know
Okay.
we were talking a little bit off camera before we started recording, about how you can really kind of, you're getting into the field and you're kind of helping people or clients move, like you can help guide them towards like directions, right? Of like, oh, you need this, or oh, you need that. Like, tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that. Like, how do you
Yeah.
find that information like in their field and like direct them in that way? Because I'm curious.
Yeah. So I work with kinesiology, and so I can kind of locate you in the field, and then I connect in, and then as I connect in, I can then maybe surrogate kinesiology, surrogate muscle test, and ask your body what's
Mhm.
up. Basically, that's the session, right? We're like, true cause of blank, whatever it is. Maybe it's true cause of sinus infection, a physical thing, or it's true cause of why can I not have a good relationship with my business partner? True cause of what's causing this. True cause of why am I, you know, physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, any true cause you can bring to the session.
Are you getting a download, or are you asking questions then after that?
So once we get true cause, now I'm going to ask the body, what's up? Where's this coming from? What do
Mhm.
you need? What's happening? Why? And then what do you need? Right? And so imagine it's like me and you, if you're my client, we are I always imagine like a giant forest that is your body, and we're going to traverse this forest and say, you know, first of all, true cause of whatever the symptom is, which direction do we start in this forest? Do you want to enter in this doorway? Do you want to enter in the south doorway, the north doorway? Do you want to go through this path? And then we get into the forest of the body, and then the body takes us on an excursion, and it says, you know what? This started when you were 3 years old. This is where the pattern started. And this pattern, it's like, for example, if you are 3 years old and you burn your hand on a stove, that's a pattern, or that's an event that creates a memory recording that guides your experience to not want to burn your hand again. So maybe 10 years later, um, you could go to like a showroom of stoves, right? And none of them are plugged in, and you could have you know, a conflict shock style. No, I don't want to go in here. Those stoves are painful, and so I can't. And then it's like, well, the stoves are, none of them are plugged in. This is a showroom. This isn't hot, but your memory from the originating experience brings back all of the PTSD and you know, it all comes back to the memory of that. So we could, in this forest, go to the original stove, for example, right? To the you know, what's causing the fear of stove showrooms, or, you know, the pattern. That also could be 5 generations ago, and it's programming in your genome that creates the repeat of the hot stove. Does that make sense? So
Mhm.
I'm asking, in this forest of you, of your body, what's causing this, and the emotions and sensations and the memories, And the recordings could be in an experience in this lifetime. It could be an experience in another lifetime. It could be an experience in 6 grandmas ago lifetime. That's a memory that you were coded with in the same way that you have your grandma's green eyes. It's the exact same mechanism. The DNA codes for your physical likeness, your memories transfer from generation to generation. So if you notice right now, it's very sort of en vogue to say you're the healing generational, you're the person in your lineage healing everything. Well, you're always the person in the lineage healing everything because you're the apex point of consciousness of the lineage from your perspective, right? So in terms of now we're in this forest and we're experiencing what's causing true cause of symptom, it's all those things. It's your memories from all those different angles. And then when it's triggered, it triggers microbes in your body experiencing reality at that scale, and they're experiencing the same frequencies. So it's almost like neighborhoods pop up. I'm going to just be very poetic about it so you can sort of see with me. Like neighborhoods pop up, and then you go on a block and you're like, oh, what's going on here? They're having loud parties. This is wild. There's trash everywhere. This is not good. So we are impacting with magnets to balance, and then those microbes get back into balance, and it's like now the block is it's not so loud in the middle of the night. They're not spilling over their trash into the other neighborhoods, and it's like more harmonious and everyone's living symbiotically, right? I hope I'm not getting way too fantastical,
I think
but
what I'm understanding you saying, if I can just comment, Lauren, is that you're changing frequencies, right?
yes.
You're influencing or impacting the frequencies, and say that the generational transmission, you're addressing that, and you're changing that so it's not continuing to be transmitted. And then once you change the frequency, oh no.
So, the inner cosmology of inside of you, I like to look at it like you are an entire universe. So the universe, our perspective of the universe out there is as equal and opposite of the universe inside. So it's that vast once you go down the scale in the direction inward. And so I look at it, I'm going to get very creative and poetic to bring you visually into what I'm saying. So I look at it like in your body, there's microbial equations in this cosmology, this inner universe, and they are just as fleshed out as the city of New York, or how the city of New York connects with London, and how you're flying around and you're in your house, and all sorts of what's happening in your bigger world is happening inside of you, so it's like a neighborhood. When your microbes are imbalanced, it's like a neighborhood. I like to say I'm impacting with torus fields to bring balance on like a specific block that is disrupted. And it's like, imagine you happen upon this block and you're like, wow, like let's say it's like frat houses, like a row of frat houses, and you're like, what is going on? No, they're up late, they're spilling garbage, like this is crazy. So when I'm impacting different microbial areas with magnetic torus fields, I'm bringing them back to balance. It's almost like I'm chaperoning, and I'm like, hey guys, like lights out, like you can't be staying up all night. You can't be like, just like, and then they're like, oh, now they're all reading books instead of, hanging from the rafters, like, right. I'm impacting, I'm impacting the the universe inside of you, back to states of balance,
Mhm.
and utilizing your emotions and sensations that created the dissonance, that created the imbalance in the first place, and then kind of reverse it, flipping and reversing it,
Mm,
right? So I'm using the ammunition that created the dissonance up, like reverting it to use that same ammunition to put it back to normal. So
mm,
I will say, I will use an emotion or sensation that created the frequency that pinged the microbes to become imbalanced. I will use that emotion or sensation and flip it and communicate with you and have you repeat after me.
mhm,
Let's say the emotion or sensation is jealousy, right? Jealousy, you make me sick. Jealousy, you make me sick. That's jealousy creating the uh, dissonant block in your microbial city. Jealousy, I want to be healthy. Jealousy, I want to be healthy. And then it's all different aspects of that reversion,
mm.
reverting it and looking at it from a different perspective. So I hope that that makes sense with what I was saying before. But as we're in this forest, we're asking true cause of your holographic symptomology.
Mm,
What is this? There's lots of different things that are causing it. It's driven by your emotions and sensations, driven by your memories, driven by your um patterns or tracks of reality and repeats. And then we're trying to um
transmute.
yeah, take the overcoat off, take this overcoat off, take that overcoat off, so that we can beam more of the truth of what we were before we had the symptom.
I love all that. Yeah, it makes so much sense. And I love how you're getting into like all of the different little root causes that it could be, whether like it's emotional or, because it is emotional and it likely is ancestral and it likely
Yeah.
is the patterns in your life. Like it is all of those things. They're all connected. And I love that you're getting down to all of that because we don't connect like most people who come to me for physical symptoms. They're not connecting it to their mental emotional. Typically, they don't realize, especially if anything's chronic, I mean, it's always a mental emotional component to it. But then even further, it's such a stretch for people to realize, oh, this is also connecting to the pattern that my mom had, my grandmother had, my great
Yeah.
grandmother had, and usually the patterns continue. So that's a whole thing for people to like wrap their heads around. But I love that you're bringing that to the table because I think it's really, really true. And we hold that not only in our fields, but on our exclusion zone water, all of these things, right? Um, and your field has the information. Like I just had a biofield tuning session and Greg's who'd been on our podcast, and he was like, he picked up something that happened at 5 years old, like emotions that I was feeling at 5 years old, which is the same time I started having chronic bladder infections. So like he picked up in the field that like he
Yes.
could feel that. And to me, if you didn't believe in anything that like any of this stuff before, when I say something like that, how can you not? Like that's the exact same time when I started having bladder infections. And also these feelings that I were feeling were very strong and stuck in my field. Like,
Well, and
Yeah.
just to add that he didn't know your health
no, he
history,
didn't
so
have my
he
health
didn't
history.
know that that's what's happened to you at 5, but he found it in the field, like Lauren's talking.
Yes.
He found it
Yes.
in my
Yes.
biofield. I'm like, and you
Yes.
can't not believe it when you see
Yes.
things like that. Like, it's just
Yes.
like, yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Can you
The
transmute that now?
the information is all there. It's a
Yes.
matter of asking a question and then connecting to the perspective and then perspectivizing it, if that's a word. But you know what I'm saying? So when I'm working with someone, it's almost like, when you wake up in the morning and somebody says, "Oh, how did you sleep?" And then you're like, "Oh, I was having these crazy dreams." And then you're trying to explain the dreams to somebody. And it's like, "Oh God, I just can't explain it. It's just so crazy. I don't even have words for it. I get like that when I'm in somebody's field. I'm getting like this dream and I can see it and I can see the 5-year-old point, and all of a sudden I'll hear a 5-year-old voice come through, and I can't really explain it to the client, because it would be like me explaining my dream to somebody at a coffee shop, like, oh, and then there was this and then that. But I tune into the coordinates of the biofield because it's all there. And it is so that memory of your 5-year-old self will repeat in different versions, and it's going to happen in the now, if you catch it. And if you catch it in the now, and then we perceive a new angle of the sculpture, we can affect the original perception. That's retrocausality, right? Like when people say, okay, we can, what you heal in the now changes the past.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to do with you is, as we're in this forest, I basically, and it's funny because I know Jack Cruz uses this Statue of David moment. I too had my Statue of David moment. So I always, even before I knew Jack Cruz, I use the Statue of David metaphor, because I'm looking at this. So when you come to me in the beginning of a session, you're looking at your Statue of David, let's just use it as a metaphor, from the front on. It's that vision of him that you always see, in every art book. It's the front on. You're like, this is true, this is what's causing my upset, the front view. What I'm trying to get you to do in this forest is find out, first of all, what's causing that front view, what seared in that front view. And then I want to take you to like the doorway in the art gallery that opens up and closes and turns into a wall, and like the personnel, come through. I want to go through that doorway, and then I want to look at the statue from like the butt up or something and be like, oh my gosh, look at it. It's a different statue. And when it's a different statue, you can create a different meaning. And when you create the different meaning, you actually go back to the past when you only saw the front view, and you shift it to the butt view, and then you shift it to the all view. And then now the dissonance, it's the magnets in the mental realm, putting the pH back to 0 point. You know what I'm saying? Like, right? So now you have a new memory, and you have a new it's dexterity of being able to see the statue from the front view. You have always looked at it, and now the butt view, and they both merge into one. And when they merge into one, it's not the original story that pinged the microbes in the first place to act up as a crazy neighborhood. Do you know what I'm saying? So they're not going to act like that anymore.
I love
Maybe a
all.
rudimentary way of saying that is like you have more information now, you have more views, right? And your
Yeah.
perception is changing, and our perception creates our reality, they say. So you only knew what you knew at that moment in time. And now, through the way you're facilitating, Lauren, you're helping people's being to have a different viewpoint. And so that's going to shift everything. Am I getting you?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And then I'll use like a hologram. And I know it sounds kind of Harry Potter or whatever. I'll use a hologram, which is a configuration of magnets, or like a configuration of new torus fields, or your field organizing differently. And I'll ask the body, how long do you need this hologram? Minutes, hours, days, weeks, months. And then the body says how long it needs it. But who am I affecting? Am I affecting the 5-year-old you that saw Statue of David from the front? Or am I affecting you in my session in the now, needing it for months going forward? The answer is yes. I'm affecting both. So I'm giving the 5-year-old you the new holographic information, the transmutation of the field, a reorganization, a re-perspective. And then I'm also giving you homework where for the, let's say the body says, I ask minutes, hours, days, weeks. How many weeks? 1, 2, 2 weeks. 2 weeks, this magnetic configuration is going to ping and reorganize you in the future. And then also I'm inserting that in the 5-year-old you, because maybe you in the 5-year-old version needed 2 weeks of reorganization to affect the now being different, that then harmonizes the original event, changes it, and you in the now always don't have the same symptoms.
Right,
Yeah.
because the you in the future and the you in the past is all one and the same, right? So I
Yeah.
love that. Like I've always resonated with that. I
Yeah.
had an EFT tapping therapist that taught me that, and I was like, oh my God, that actually makes so much sense. And
Yeah.
it always resonated with me because it's all one and the
Yeah.
same. So you can affect past, present, future. And I love all that. And I'm so curious what you would say to somebody because I get so many clients who are like, it's the mold, it's the pathogen. Since we're talking
Yeah.
about microbes, I think we just should bring it up. They're like, it's the mold, it's the parasites. Even my mom said to me, she's like, I was talking to her about a client I had with MS, and she's like, well, she probably has a parasite in her brain. I'm like, it's not the parasite that's the cause, though. It's like, there's something else, right? That's, like, let's just have a conversation about what you would say to a client who's in that, like, very, like, physical mindset when it comes to all of these things. It's the candida, the mold, the H. pylori, the parasite, whatever.
Well, like if H. pylori comes up, for example, in a session, it might not even be H. pylori in you. It could be H. pylori 12 generations down that like inserted um, information in your genomic line, but we can look at it this way, or we can look at it like this way, like, and then that way, like I'm trying to figure out like, where's the kink? Right?
Mhm.
H. pylori could come up, but H. pylori might not be active. You might not have a scathing case of H. pylori in this now moment, but somebody else had that pathogenic expression pinging with a bunch of other pathogens. Because to your question, the way that you explained, oh gosh, it's the mold, oh, it's the candida, oh, it's my this, oh, it's my that, oh, it's this. It's like, yeah, but they're in relationship. It's like asking why the forest isn't well. Oh my God, it's those bugs. Oh my God, it's that. Oh my God, it's the grass. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's the birds. It's like, well, yeah, it's everything that's creating that forest where the forest is in dissonance, and you can't really pinpoint just it's the bird's fault. Oh, it's that squirrel's fault. Yeah, that's who's messing up the forest here. It's everything in the forest is in disharmony. So yes, and it's all the things. And so, for example, I went to a chiropractor once and he goes, oh, it's a parasite. And I was like, well, which one? And he was like, doesn't matter. And I was like, no, yeah, there's tons, like who's the parasite talking to? Who's the parasite? How many bacteria are is feeding this parasite? What's their grocery store like? Like it's maybe the grocery store that's feeding them. If you take out the grocery store in a town, you could take out the town. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's like, yes, and in that perspective. So it's always a relationship, right? Sometimes the body will say, if you ask the body, oh, do I have this bacteria? The body will say, no, because the bacteria isn't in you, it's in the parasite that's in you. So it's a
Mhm.
yes, but you're not asking the right question.
Mm.
And it's super multidimensional in that way. And it's all about relationship. So let's go back to the forest, right? Like, what's wrong with this forest? It's the birds, it's these squirrels messing everything up. No, it's the whole forest is not in harmony. So I find aspects of equations that are aspects of emotions and sensations, that are aspects of memories, that are aspects of light and sound and elements in animation, right? Like creating your dissonance. So it's all of it. So here, I'll give you an example because I'm always kind of like working through my own experiences and then working through my own microbial equations. And investigating, right? So I was like, gosh, I'm interested in like I'll go to my teacher and I'll say, can you do a session on me? And then he's like, ooh, I found a parasite, which I can't remember the name of the parasite, but it's like a crazy worm-like thing. And I was like, really? What? And then he worked a bunch of batteries, bacterias, and all sorts of configurations that are working towards this parasite. And he's like, this parasite is not a good one. This parasite's stealing your nutrients. We have, in addition to, he's like, we've impacted it with quantum magnets, but I also want you to take, let's ask the body, how many days of wormwood in collaboration? 6 days. So the body wants 6 pills of wormwood with walnut and what's the other one?
Clove.
Clove. Yeah. So it needs 6 doses. And we went into the emotions and sensations of this. Now, I just experienced 6 months of having to be displaced from my home and the whole kind of did a deep dive in usury of the financial landscape of humanity in the realm of real estate. And so anyway, that was my world for 6 months. It was super scary. And I was uncovering so much stealing of nutrients, right, in my realm. And I was like, wow, I paid rent for 17 years and now you're kicking me out. And this, you know how much I paid? Like a lot. If I added it up, that's a lot. And I get nothing. So that parasite that came up in the session was ready to be extinguished.
Wow.
Because that experience, I now am looking at from the doorway of the art museum, the back end, and I'm like, oh my God, look at his butt view. Oh no, I got to break up with this. I have to change this. This is horrible, right? And so I'm changing. And so now the parasite reveals itself and it's ready to be extinguished, and all of its food sources, all of its whole neighborhood, basically. Like we got to look at it as like in a like kind of storybook way so we can see the animation of what's actually happening, because these are big subjects like multidimensionality, quantum landscape, right? So we kind of have to animate it. So in terms of being in the game of your wellness, so in the beginning, just to go back to your first question, like how did you get into this? I had like a kind of a big, oh my gosh, this life can't go on. We all have these kind of like moments of rock bottom where life can't go on. And then from that awareness, we can then see how we would have never gotten to that rock bottom if we were doing our assignments and kind of like transmuting things as we go. So I'm always looking at my experiences and what levels and layers I can transmute as I go. And this is the living, breathing out picturing of, oh, I'm the one in the lineage that's transmuting everything. It's like, yeah, you are in the apex point of the now for the all, and it's up to you to constantly change and have agency for the story of you and your lineage of creating new ways to look at things. And you're then affecting that parasite. You're affecting that parasite's ecosystem, the parasite that probably was in the entire lineage. Like sometimes I'll see it in sessions and I know I sound crazy, but like I'll be like, it's almost like I'm in like a spaceship and then I'll see like this thing coming and I'm like, oh my God, this is traveling your timeline. This thing has been with you and your lineage for a long time. It knows like the frequency that it loves, like it's a relationship. And so I'll look at it and be like, all right, this is what we're going after. This is what we're transmuting. It's almost like this like giant um uh when Native Americans would talk about like a Loch Ness monster, you know,
Mhm.
they would have those the fables about that, you know, like, oh, look at this in this giant lake. It's a being, and that being works with the dissonance that you have and that everybody in your lineage kind of have as a continuing recurring storyline.
Right. So it's connecting to the emotional pattern, basically, is
Yeah,
what you're.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I'm telling
And
you.
Tammy Russell, we had an energy healer on recently, Lauren, and she's like, "Oh yeah," she's talking about me. She's like, "Oh yeah, you have these it's like amoebic issues, right?" And in my like the one-dimensional interpretations, oh, I got those when I was in Mexico, right? So that's the story. But she's like, "No, these are generationally inherited." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Okay, then."
yeah,
Speaks to
yeah,
exactly what you're saying. So it's like we have to get out of the, the symptom base, like it's caused by this. And this is what, like, it's super one dimensional, very, very shallow, right? We have to think of it as there's a whole relationship here and it's holographic, like you're saying, and there's energetic imprints and there's so many different things. There's emotional, right, energies that are inherited. So I think it's a lot for people to kind of be with and understand. And it's so much easier just to be like, kill the symptom, which
Oh, yeah.
just perpetuates and magnifies everything.
yeah,
Right? Like I had some skin tags cut off and I'm like, oh, I'm in Mexico. It's so cheap. I'll just have them all cut off. And then now I have like way more stuff coming out. I'm like, well, there you go. You're not going to get rid of anything by just hacking at it or taking a pill. That's the materialist Western approach, right? This is more of a, I don't know what we want to call it, but a spiritual, feminine, I don't know. It's much more holistic and organic, the holographic approach, where you have to look at it multidimensionally. You
yeah.
cannot just look at it as a problem. The body doesn't make mistakes. It's manifesting what hasn't been attended to, what we haven't garnered their cultivated the awareness to see. Am I getting you? Am I understanding what you're saying?
Yes, yes, yes. And also, it's like very multi-layered. So if you have a chronic symptom,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that chronic symptom, like I'll just use myself as the example. So like when I got really sick, I was like handed like a basket of these chronic symptoms that then would persist for a decade, that I was like, what? And they had a life of their own, right? In terms of the roller coaster that I was on for a decade, that was, when I can look at it from this perspective, it was a series of layers. So sometimes people come to me and they're like, I have a symptom. Can you get rid of it with biomagnetism? If it works, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, we can get rid of a layer of it. We can get rid of a layer of it. That's why I'm working with the hologram for the 2 weeks, or, you know, maybe sometimes you need a hologram for like 6 minutes. Sometimes you need a hologram for 6 months. It just depends. I'm working on like repatterning you. So here, I'll give you an example. In a session, I will give you a hologram. What is it? Minutes, hours, days, weeks, months. Let's say it's weeks, 2 weeks. Now, I'm giving you a hologram that's going to work with an emotion or sensation that is a pattern within you. So I find how many emotions or sensations are gonna do we need that are in communication with this holographic necessity? Let's say 2. Okay, so it's an emotion or sensation that you're having. I'll give you an example. When I was bleeding to death, my sensation was anemia. So in my session, I needed a hologram to, in my field, for however many, let's say we're working 2 weeks, the body says 2 weeks, that is going to be triggered by the sensation of anemia, because I'm going to have anemia in 2 minutes. I'm going to have anemia in 5 minutes. I'm going to have anemia when I get up and walk away, or get up and walk to another room. I'm going to feel that sensation. It's recurring and recurring and recurring. So instead of it walking me away from wellness, I want it to walk me towards harmony. So I will flip and reverse this symptom, this sensation or emotion that's recurring, and set it up where I'm almost like retraining you to be like, now the next time that I'm going to have this sensation of anemia, I want it to be making me go this direction, making me towards health instead of making me more sick. Because how many times when we have a recurring thing, we're like, oh, it's always happening. Oh, it's always happening. And we put ourselves back to the beginning and we keep looping and looping and looping. I have anemia, therefore I'm sick, therefore now I'm chronic, because you keep repeating it and you keep creating it. So you're already creating it because it's a habit you inherited, a habit that works for you because 5 years old, you decided this is the habit that I need, that's going to work for me to keep me safe. So I'm working with these habits to shift them so that that's your homework, or that's the homework of the 5-year-old you that needs anemia makes me healthy instead of anemia makes me more ill.
Mm.
Does that make sense? So,
Yep.
but it's layers. We're in training. We're like training for the Olympics. So I might give you, what seems to be Mr. Miyagi, paint the fence, wash the car, holographic training of that emotion or sensation to transmute it so it doesn't ping those microbes over and
Yeah.
over and over again, because they're just waiting to blink into reality again. And then they, right? Just all they need is the same conditions to blink back in. So then, if you have a symptomology, like one of the things that I love to work on is the viral pattern of herpes, for example. That is super layered. And every time I impact it, I'm deleting a layer and deleting a layer and deleting a layer and deleting a layer. That is an emotional set point, right? But it's what does medicine say? It says that it's forever, that it's it's just going to live there forever and always be there, and there's no cure, there's no whatever. That's because of the pattern, but the pattern has lots of layers, and so every time I impact aspects of it, boom, 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 I'm just like taking out, like Tetris, taking out that layer, taking out that layer, taking out that layer. And then pretty soon when you don't have, I mean, what's the end of the game of Tetris? Right? So,
You're an
so,
endocrinologist? I don't think so.
well, there isn't an end, but let's just say like if you knocked out all those layers, then would it express itself in the same way that it expressed itself in the beginning, right? And there's lots of other infections, right? That they need to be processed perspective upon perspective upon perspective, so that at the end of the game of that Tetris is the it's a lack of overcoats. Again, it's another way to say it's a lack of overcoats.
Mhm. I love that you're bringing back the layer situation, because as a homeopath, and I know Heather, you too, and even as a health coach, they're like, oh, they just want everything to be fixed right away. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, but this thing that you've been dealing with chronically, like in my case, since 5, okay, one remedy, one session is not going to shift it. I am sorry. I wish it was that simple. It's just that this chronic symptom has many, many layers that need to be uncovered, and it takes time. But it's like, to me, when you were saying like how give the hologram to support the person and that goes with them, I think that's really cool. I haven't heard that before. So like when you're leaving the session, they have support, right? Going through. It's kind of like the same thing as when I give a homeopathic remedy and I'm like, oh, you have a panic attack, take the remedy, right? Because you're retraining the system like again and again. So it's like that support to help them transmute or to shift that, right? So I was loving it. It's great.
Yeah, because when you're in those layers in real time, it's a different you and a different you and a different you and a different you, different configurations, until you get to that place of not having the trigger. And the triggers work for us. Like um the triggers are, they work in terms of like if you um if okay, so let's just say if you, what's simple? If somebody hurts you, like let's say you're in a relationship and somebody punches you and you're like, oh my God, I could have died, right? The new configuration of blocking that and utilizing the pathogens and utilizing all the aspects of reality to block that original thing. The hot stove, right? If you touch a hot stove and you burn yourself, you're gonna block all stoves. And it's going to be necessary because you need your hand. You don't want to hurt your hand, right? So these crutches that we create, these dissonances, when the overcoats that we have them on for a reason, keep us safe. So sometimes in a session somebody won't even like let go of that layer. They're like, no thanks, this works. Absolutely not, like, and they'll be like, I need it. It's like, in the example of like, if someone punches you in the face in a relationship, you're going to block yourself to all other relationships, like you're like, no way. And then you're going to come to me and say true cause of why I don't have a relationship. And it's like, okay, well, let's see. This is the original thing, but then you've got a lot of investment in never getting hurt like that again. So we have to work through that and retrain that so that you can see the statue from a different perspective, first of all, and then be like, oh, wow, well, it's a totally different storyline. I guess it's not super unsafe from this perspective. Okay, cool. Maybe I could let that in, but there's layers of protection.
Yes. It's all about safety. Heather taught me that. I love that.
Yeah. I need this. It works because I can have a control. I can have approval. I can have safety, right? Like otherwise, there's these walls. What's a biofilm?
Oh, yeah.
That's a great one.
Wall. It's a wall. What is it, a wall? The biofilm is for, like you need that. You need that because you don't want to touch the hot stove ever again.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I love that you just brought that up.
This is evolution.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for example, my old neighbor had a tortoise, right? And he eats these hot peppers, and the tortoise, I was like, hey, can I see your tortoise? He's like, oh, if he lives, and he just ate a whole habanero bush. And I was like, well, he's so old and ancient. He's not programmed to kill himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to eat habaneros that are going to poison and kill himself. He's not programmed that way. He's programmed to stay alive and to evolve and to be an ancient dinosaur in modern time. So we're like that too. So all these dissonances are actually helping us to stay alive, because if you touch hot stoves, you might not make it, like, so this is important information that the ancestors or aspects of your lineage, your genetic travel has given you these memories. Like, don't ever date that guy ever, because you won't stay alive. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, don't eat that mushroom, but it's how you're holding the information, how you're seeing it that matters, because we do need the information, but how is it impacting us?
Yeah, because it becomes like, okay, well, can we remind you that you don't need this to have control, or you don't need this to stay safe? Can we remind you that? Because you actually don't, like, you don't really need it. You can transmute that memory, because the truth is you're safe right now, so yeah, it's a matter of like retraining the emotions and sensations of what created it in the first place.
Wow, such a profound way of working. I think, yeah, it's thank goodness I have exposure to some of these concepts, because I think for somebody hearing it first time, if you're our listeners and you're like, what did Lauren just talk about? you might need to listen to it a couple times because it'll sink in, and it's really important to understand because the more that Vanessa and I do this podcast, the more we're realizing that it's not what we think it is. Healing is not what we think it is. It's we've been misled, and I'm going to put that lens on it because we really have been misled. Like we're just getting spoon-fed a certain version of healing, and it's very lucrative for some people, but it's not really serving humanity. So Lauren, you're bringing a gift in
Mm.
your capacity and your ability to see things multidimensionally and then to articulate it is really rare. I mean, so I want to just thank you for coming on. I know we're running short of time, but I just can't let it go to not let our listeners know about your body, your beauty line of Bela Nektar, because I've used her products, everyone in there exquisite. And talking about vibration, I mean, these products are just incredibly potent and magnetized, and they work really well and from a practical standpoint. And I mean, they're just amazing. So
Oh,
just want
thank
to pitch
you.
that, Lauren. I want to pitch
Thank you. Yeah, I formulated all of them to kind of have the spirit and energy of what I learned in the root cause protocol in terms of full spectrum, in terms of how you interface with nature. So
that.
nothing is an isolate. I use full spectrum nutrition in combination to basically set up a bi-directional luxury experience between you and the botanical, you and the mineral, you and the animal lipid, because I use all of them. Um, I started making skincare in 2017 when it was very just like, if it's not a plant, it's bad, kind of a landscape. And I was like, well, what about animal fats?
Mm.
And so I remember right as the pandemic started, I was trying to share animal lipids with some of the sort of kind of fashion skincare outlets, and they were like, well, how are you going to get someone to, it's a vegan world out there, kind of a thing. And so I was like, no, but this is an ancient harmonic of nutrition in its full form
Mm.
that will recognize from mammal to mammal. So why are we not using it?
Mm.
So I have a couple of very, very lovely tallow based products. Three. I have one that is like a full spectrum retinol,
Mm.
is vitamin A, because that is coming from, animal. It's an undisturbed harmonic of vitamin A. It's not, if you use a retinol that is an isolate, you're going to be allergic to sun and its frequencies disrupted, right? You're not going to, right? So I'm working at transmuting that for everybody. And so I have that, and then I have a makeupless makeup, which is very nice because if you're putting foundation on, and I mean, I'm wanting to bring this to the collective where I'm like, guys, sunglasses, yeah, that's a no. Foundation, that's a no too. Like you got to get out of that habit too. So I have a tallow that is a natural foundation that is like a golden hue. It's called my Savage Rose. And I want you to interact with the sunshine with makeup. I want it to be an in real life Instagram filter that makes you feel pretty. But then I also want you to get the solar codes all day long. Like, right?
Mhm.
And I and so and then I work with Shiva Rose, and we have like a sun balm. So that's another tallow. So I use emu oil in my
Mm,
serum
mm,
with vitamin C, full spectrum cacao, plum. And I just work with all of the elementals in their full form. And then it's kind of like the RCP inspiration, but for your face, where if you're going to come to me for mineral balance, I'm going to be like, what are you taking? No, toss that and toss that. It's dysregulating you. So I'm kind of looking at skincare that way too, where I don't want you to dysregulate yourself like it took me a while to make a cleanser because I don't actually use cleansers because I don't use foundation. Like I've never worn makeup, so I don't really have to disturb my microbiome by washing my face every day. So I came up with a cleanser that is basically like dirt and flower petals. And I'm like, this is good, right? Do you guys like it? And then try it. You're never going to want to go back because you're feeding your microbiome or like in symbiotic relationship with it rather than putting a cleanser on your face. Like I never really wash my face. So when somebody said to me like, well, you have to have a cleanser to have a full line. And I'm like, but I don't wash my
This is like a wonderful conversation right here in itself. Just
yeah.
the fact that people are like, so want to cleanse the body and wash their hair so much and use the
Yeah.
wash and use all the things like,
Yeah.
and it's like, that's going to not work with your body. So I love that you're creating these products that are working with the body.
Yeah.
When I wash my hair with guys, it's tallow and buttermilk. Like I
There
have
you go. Yeah.
years, and I only use natural things on my body for years. And it's like my skin and hair look better than ever. Obviously, because I'm outside in the sun too. That's like a whole
Yeah,
huge
yeah, yeah. It's a full picture. It's a full picture.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. So I just imagined when I made the cleanser, for example, that like what would it be if I like went to the Mediterranean on like a full spectrum vacation and we
Mhm.
were like loving it and sea breeze and like experiencing everything and like laying out in the sun and then we're like, you know what? Let's kick it up a notch. Let's go dig in the dirt and let's go get these flower petals and let's mash them together and then let's give ourselves facials. Like that's the vibe, like that's what I wanted to like bottle, where you're getting like deep sea mud or Dead Sea mud. You're getting French green clay and like Moroccan red clay, and then like crushed rose petals, crushed chamomile, crushed neem, crushed African aloe, all the things that you would just be like, what should we put in this thing? Like, oh, go get that. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, add it in. Basically the garden of your Mediterranean villa, when you just want to like be your vacation, when you're there, you're like, this is so amazing. I just want to be it. Like, I kind of just figured out how to like bottle that. So all my skincare formulations are not only harmonics of your health, so you can work in relationship with elemental alchemy. That's what it's Bela Nektar, elemental alchemy. You're going to work in relationship with that, but then you're also going to like dive into it and like rawr, like be ravished by the beauty of it. Like that was the inspiration, the mood board for each formulation.
Your products will be on my Christmas list, so thank you.
You should, Vanessa. You
Amazing.
should. They're exquisite. They smell good. I mean, they feel good. They look good. It's just a win all the way around. I highly recommend. Highly recommend. How can people find you, Lauren?
So I have a website called Bela Gusta, which is like the kind of like overall platform, the lifestyle. And my products are called Bela Nektar. So it's like the website. If you type in belanectar.com, you'll get to the website. If you type in Bela Gusta, you'll get to the website. I spell it differently. It's BELA
Okay.
Nektar, or Gusta, Gusta. Yeah, and you can find me there. You can find me on Instagram where I'm like spouting off concepts. I like to spout out concepts about quantum biology, but then I also really like to talk about finances too. Heather, we share in
I
that thing,
noticed that. Yeah.
financial, because it's very intertwined. Wealth and health. It's basically the same conversation. And then I also like to, look at current events from like the Captain Outsider of the Band of Outsiders lens. So it might be weird and triggering, but I'm just kind of trying to get you to look at things from the outside of all the narratives. So I kind of, do that on my Instagram, and it's like a surprise post every day. So that's where you can find me.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Lauren, we really appreciated the conversation. Thanks so much for coming on, and thanks for sharing all your wisdom with our listeners. And yeah, it's been so much
Yeah,
fun.
you're welcome, Vanessa and Heather. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super, super grateful.